but we've got breaking news, Buzz. What have you got for us?
Yeah, big story break late this afternoon. The NRL have been stung into action after a wild weekend. Too much foul play in their opinion. An email from Graham Annesley, and there's the back page of the Telegraph tomorrow. Graham Annesley has emailed all 17 clubs late this afternoon, and said that from here on, high tackles will be instant sin bin. And they have found 4 instances from last weekend, tackles that involved Ricky from the Broncos, Luai from the West Tigers, Reed Mahoney, the shot on the ground, and Gilbert. They've identified those, said the referees and the bunker got them all wrong.
So they're admitting they got it wrong. They're admitting that all 4 of these should have been sent for 10 minutes in the bin. And Gordy, what do you think on this?
As soft as the tackles are, I like it just to protect the ball carrier. I always say if you're running the ball, you should, have no fear that your head is ever going to get hit. So I like the rules because those tackles actually do hurt. What are you screwing your face up, Reedy?
I'm just watching that Reed Mahoney one, thinking there's not too much in that one, to be honest. I don't think.
Reedy, are you serious?
Hold on, can I finish? I don't even know if he hit him in the head. The other 3 I agree with, they're all head contact.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he hit him in the head.
Should we go there now? Because, Buzz, today you wrote a big article, back page, Daily Telegraph, Monday's Buzz, and you were saying that Reed Mahoney's a liability.
Well, I'm not saying he became a liability with that. I think he became a liability last year in a semi-final against Manly when he involved himself in an incident with Reuben Garrick. They were leading 22-10. It changed the course of the game. And if that hadn't happened, Canterbury would have advanced.
But you think this is a bad incident?
It is a shocking incident.
Really?
A player lying on the ground, totally unprotected. Understand Mahoney's got to get to the scene and stop him from getting up or whatever. See that left forearm, attack him in the head.
Buzz.
If you think that's all right,
No,
you have no idea.
Buzz, I acknowledge I think it's a cheap shot by him, but I don't think it's as severe as the other 3. And you know what? You know who agrees with me?
Who?
The Match Review Committee, because they only gave him a grade 1 for that.
Well, I tell you who...
All the others got grade 2. So they agree with me that it wasn't as bad as the other 3.
The Match Review Committee might have put Jason Demetrio and some new people on that panel. They stuffed that up. I can tell you that top officials at the NRL were absolutely shocked that Reed Mahoney is not at least sitting out 1 week for that cheap shot. I'm telling you, I'm telling you it's fact.
I don't listen. I think it was stupid and silly.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I think Reed. Further to your point, I think he's improved this year. I thought last year he got a bit out of hand, and I from the outside looking in, I believe that the Dogs have pulled him up and said, mate, you've got to be better because it can cost them in big games, like you said, in the semi-final. And he did do it too often last year. I think he's improved. This incident right here, stupid, shouldn't have done it. It was some people calling it a dog act, but I didn't think it was actually that bad. I'm with you.
I think, look, you go, Gordy.
I think it's in the rules. The only thing is that he got in contact with
the rules.
It is, because otherwise it's a voluntary tackle.
If that's in the rule book, we might as well all give up.
No.
You can't.
He shouldn't have got him in the head. No. But you're allowed to dive on someone. If they're laying there, it's their job to get up and try to
actually think it's
advance
that
the ball.
Serious. It's about time some senior players in our game called out what Reed Mahoney did the other night. This game is tough enough and
we get all that.
Hard.
We're not saying it's
we've
not
already
tough.
shown. Well,
but you know when they put a kick in the corner,
these guys
kick in the corner, and the winger just dives on it
and
sits there. Where if you put a great chase on, you should be allowed to drive him back in the in goal.
You're
the
confusing the 2 points. No one's disputing that's a cheap shot. It's unnecessary. It's not. He shouldn't.
It's unnecessary contact with the head.
But the contact with the head in that case is minimal.
How do you know? You weren't on the receiving end of it.
That's why it was a grade 1, because the contact was minimal as opposed to all the other tackles.
I've just explained to you that the Match Review Committee got it hopelessly wrong.
Right, well, there wasn't just Reed Mahoney. There was a number of incidents. So let's check out, actually, the memo, if we can get it up. I want to have a look at the memo that was sent to the clubs today. Now, on 4 occasions, I'll skip the first bit and I'll get to the main point. On 4 occasions, the sin bin was not used for incidents involving direct forcible contact with the head neck of opponents. The lack of appropriate on-field action in these cases should not be seen as a precedent for future similar incidents. So they are taking accountability here, the NRL, and they have got it wrong, but whose fault is it? Like, this is a pretty big admission. We don't see the NRL do this too often.
I'm really pleased and I applaud them for it because I've been banging on all weekend about lack of transparency and the fact they abolished Graham Annesley's Monday briefing. They've stopped announcing who's refereeing games each week. They've gagged all the coaches. That they've come out today and said, look, our officials this weekend weren't good enough.
Yeah.
They're not koalas. We're not going to protect them any longer.
Koalas, is that what they said?
Well,
I love koalas.
no, they didn't use those words, but I'm saying they're not
Protected species.
They're no longer a protected species.
Well, Buzz, just more to the point.
And good on them for doing
Yeah,
that.
I rate it. I think it's great by the NRL. But, you know, when we don't play well or if we don't perform well on this show and we're not doing our job, we normally pay the price for that. Is that going to be the case with the referees and officials? Will they be stood down? Is there going to be...
What I'm told, and I spoke to Rudy about this afternoon when we filed the story, is that at least 2 referees will be stood down this week over lack of action.
All right.
Were they all penalties? They were?
I think
but
they,
just
yeah,
no
they all
sin
were,
binning.
Gordy. They're all
So, like,
penalties, not
where's-
sin binnings.
And that's the problem, guys, and we speak about it all the time. You're a
But can't
broken
the bunker
record,
come
it's
in and help them?
consistency. Some games it's been immediately.
But
Well, the bunkers come in
they're
on
all
them.
different referees, right? But the one thing that should be consistent is the bunker.
Well, the bunkers
Of
come in
course.
on all them, Gordy. I think that's a problem for both the bunker and the referee on the field. I mean, the referee on the field in the first instance has seen that, but when they send it to the bunker or the bunker reviews it, the bunker's in a position to dictate whether that's a sin bin or not,
Yes.
and they haven't.
Yeah.
So I actually put more blame on the bunker because they can
Same
watch
here.
replays.
Well, they're trying
of
to
it.
be... They are supposed to be a security blanket for the referees. They're, you know,
Because it's so moving, it's quick.
It's
they're
high
wet ground.
speed. The refs are going to make mistakes. But when you got the high definition, the 4K, the stop frame, 3 officials,
Hindsight.
you're entitled to get it right.
you're really-
They're bleedingly obvious.
You're really passionate about
He
this.
is, isn't he?
I really
He's
am.
fired up.
I really am. I hate incidents like the Mahoney one. And I want to say something about Reed Mahoney,
Yeah.
and I mean this. I think he's a very, very good bloke. He's a decent human being.
Great
When
call.
Talakai got knocked out the other day, the first man to go and check on, make sure he's okay, was Reed Mahoney. I bumped him in a restaurant in the Gold Coast last year at Kira. Came over to the table, he started chatting, a more decent, polite young man you would not meet.
Yeah.
And something, though, happens when he runs onto that football field.
White line
It
fever.
triggers white line fever.
You know what,
And
Buzz?
I know, even you guys can say whatever you want. I know there is concern at
Thanks, Buzz.
Canterbury.
Can we-
No,
let us know
well,
when
you
we can
said it. You said it last year as well.
Yeah.
There is concern
No,
that
I
he's
agree.
overstepping the mark.
Look,
He's-
at some stage, we spoke about it yesterday on the M's, he would have got under my skin. So is he putting me off my game? So that's the balance between Reed Mahoney, getting the opposition off their game, but just as long as he doesn't penalise
you know-
his side by giving away too many penalties.
You're exactly right, and you're not wrong in what you're saying. But you know, sometimes with footy players, and Mick Innes was a bit like it himself. Like it actually brings the best out of you with your performances. That's the way that you
Hold on.
play. It's your style. I'm not saying take a
Mick
bloke's
Ennis
head.
would not have done
No,
that.
I'm not saying he would have. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. He's a niggler, right? He gets under their skin.
Of course he does.
takes
Nothing wrong with that. It's
he
part of the game.
Are we allowed to? Am I allowed to have
Yeah,
my
you
opinion?
are- you are the
Am I allowed to
host,
have my
so
opinion? Do you want to host this show tonight?
It's all yours. Do you want to swap seats?
You got your own podcast now. You're taking over the world.
Can I plug it off the
No, you can't. Anyway, yeah, so, like, I get it, right? But sometimes there's certain players that play a certain way. Reed definitely needs to pull it in and rein it in because it's going to end up impacting his team.